Investment advisory services offered through Independent Solutions Wealth Management and Blackridge Asset Management, LLC. Peak Broker Services, LLC is not an affiliate of Independent Solutions or Financial Guys, LLC.
You're listening to The Financial Guys.
We're $23 trillion in debt, honey. We don't have an extra surplus of money.
Newsflash, guys, stop attacking businesses, because when all the businesses are gone, nobody's going to pay your salary anymore. You get that?
If the goal is to create a loser mentality, you're winning.
I'm going to build a big, beautiful wall with a big, beautiful door. Well, guess what? We have a big, beautiful door, all right. It's the wide open southern border, right?
Yeah.
Here's Glenn Wiggle and Mike Lomas.
Alrighty, welcome back. Mike Lomas, Glenn Wiggle, our podcast, Financial Guys, the place where money meets politics, and we have a lot of fun with this podcast. Been doing it for what now? A little over a year, Glenn?
Yeah, it's been, I think we started last January, February, so about a year, year for 3 months.
Radio for decades, but this is a little bit more of an open format. By the way, we do manage money for a living. If you need anything on our social media, go to our website, thefinancialguys.com. And for those of you watching on YouTube, I am either going to shave my head myself this week, or I'm going to drive to Chicago and use the barber that the mayor there, that she used, because apparently it was okay for her, dirtbag liberal, and I'm saying that, yes, a dirtbag liberal, because I'm so sick and tired of these liberals. They're all liberals. Stay at home. Don't leave the house. Make sure you wear your mask. Oh, I'm going to go down the street and get my hair cut. So I'm going to Illinois to find that barber because I desperately need it.
Well, but you're not important enough, Mike.
That's right.
You have to remember, if you're a Mark Poloncarz, if you're a Governor Cuomo, if you're a mayor of Chicago or a governor of Chicago, he sent his wife to Florida, and then when they asked him the question, he said, "Oh, it's despicable that you're talking. You're asking." It used to be in the old days that the family members were off limits. Really? Oh, you're telling everyone that you're threatening to arrest people for staying home. See, this is what drives me nuts, right? Why is it okay for Governor Cuomo to travel across the state to Rochester?
Right.
That's no problem. But if you leave your house, you're going to be arrested. Why is it okay for certain businesses to open that Governor Cuomo decrees it's possible, or Whitmer
essential.
or whatever, essential, and yet the tattoo parlor can't open, the barber shop can't open, the hairdresser, the nail salon? I mean, look, here's the thing. If we're going to go, I was on board with the quarantine for 2 weeks through Easter. After Easter, I was not, right? After Easter, it's like, okay, enough is enough. Now, study after study after study, is showing that the lockdowns are having negligible, if any, impact on slowing down the virus. So what I'm sick and tired of is it's okay for me to go get a haircut because I'm important and you're not. It's the Michael Bloomberg, I'm going to protect myself with armed security, but I want everyone else to turn in their guns because I'm important and you're not. So I'm just tired of this, not good enough for the little people kind of
I said
crap.
weeks ago we will find out that the quarantine had a negative effect. And the only reason I said that is because everything government does is wrong. It doesn't matter, right? So we had some doctors on from California on our show last week, and they were talking about how asinine it is to think that you can go into a grocery store and grab bottles of water and take them home with you, set them next to you, and then quarantine yourself in a house and not think that there could be COVID-19 on that. He said, I don't care what house I go into in America, I'm going to find COVID-19 on something that they brought home. And he used Del Taco as an example. Del Taco, big in California. You go to Del Taco, they wrap your taco up, and they hand it out the window and put it in a plastic bag, and then you grab it, and you have your gloves on, and he has his gloves on, but just he passed the COVID on his gloves to your gloves, and then you take it home, and you leave it in your trash there right next to you as you quarantine for the next 4 days with the COVID sitting right next to you. I mean, but you can't go to a restaurant and sit 6 feet away. There's very few restaurants that I know that have tables that are not 6 feet away from each other. I don't remember the last time I was at a restaurant, but I don't remember spitting on my neighbors, right?
No.
So,
or the beach, even better.
Yeah, the beach. But beyond asinine. And, Cuomo, right? He brings his daughter's boyfriend over for dinner for the weekend. He's getting his hair cut from somebody. He looks awful handsome with that nice hairdo. But you and I are supposed to sit at home, right? De Blasio goes through a park 40 minutes from his house when he lives in a damn park, right? They call him out on it. Shame on you, he's saying, for calling me out on this. What Michelle Obama, this has got to be the biggest dirtbag move, right?
Oh, yeah.
She sends a message out to multiple states.
She was probably eating a lobster at the time. Just
please stay at home. Please stay at home. The only reason you should go out is if you have a health issue or to the grocery store. That's it. As her dirtbag husband is out golfing. He's out golfing, and he's in a golf cart with other guys not socially distancing, right? Getting a private driver to drive him to the golf course, social services watching him, protecting him, in the car with him, right? But as you pointed out before, he's better than us. He deserves to go. That's essential for him. You and I, we'll go in the house, right? We need to be in the basement like Chris Cuomo. Oh, wait, they busted him too.
Yeah, he was a liar. Yeah, he was absolutely lying. I wonder, Mike, we had the good doctors from California. Dr. Erickson was on with us this past weekend. His partner, Dr. Messia, was not on with us, but everybody knows these guys by now. Millions and millions of views online. Of course, all the social media, YouTube, Facebook, they're all trying to take down anything that goes against the narrative. And we talked about this on the radio show in last week's podcast. You know, my understanding of medicine, like a lot of things, was, you know, you come to consensus, you work together, you embrace differing opinions and different research and different viewpoints. Not in this case, though. In this case, it's either this is right and anybody else is a heretic. I wonder if they'll do the same thing with Professor Michael Levitt, who teaches structural biology at Stanford School of Medicine, who actually holds a Nobel Prize in chemistry for the development of multi-scale models for complex chemical systems. I don't even know what that means. But according to Levitt, he's really smart, right? According to Levitt, coronavirus data show that sweeping lockdown measures were an overreaction that may actually backfire. Levitt has been analyzing the COVID-19 outbreak from a statistical perspective since January and has been remarkably accurate in his predictions. The data show that the outbreak never actually grew exponentially, suggesting harsh lockdown measures, which have drastically impacted the world economy, were probably not necessary. No kidding.
Who said that weeks ago?
Yeah.
Oh, I did.
His observation is a simple one, in that the outbreak after outbreak in this disease, a similar mathematical pattern. This is what we've been both saying this, right?
Yep.
It's just math. You can debate the science, but you can't debate the math, right? Similar mathematical pattern observable regardless of government interventions after around 2-week exponential growth of cases and subsequently deaths. Some kind of break kicks in and growth starts slowing. The curve quickly becomes sub-exponential. So, of course, people like Polenkars, people like Kobar are going, see, God didn't do this. We did this. That's what he actually, that's an actual quote from Combo.
Oh, yeah.
God didn't help. God didn't change the curve. We changed the curve.
He meant he did.
No, actually, no. It was God that changed the curve. It was nature, right? It's nature that changed the curve.
Right. It's
the
called
curve
herd immunity.
Changed anyways.
It's called herd immunity.
This particular,
and you need to get the herd immunity for it to wipe itself out.
This thing just changed. You can see it in all the data. The charts go up exponentially, but then they level off. They start to flatten out. They start to go up in a singular fashion, 1 to 1, and then one goes to 0.9, one goes to 0.8, one goes to 0.7. Now in Germany, of course, that's what Como cites. See, Germany opened up, and they went from 0.7 right up to 1 infecting 1. Again, you'll see it just dip right back down again, right?
Yep.
So the answer for us in New York State and in this country is open up the goddamn country right now. It needs to be open now.
Up and to get the herd immunity as fast as possible. It's the only way you're going to go through this disease. Or virus. You're going to continue to push it along. You've got to get the herd immunity. And I actually think, we had the doctors on last week. This is not Mike and Glenn. These are doctors saying this with biochemical degrees that, the number of people that have this virus or have had it over the last year are way more than we've said, right? The death rate, you're looking at a death rate right now in Erie County of like 0.027%, right? But the more we test, the more that goes down. And I predicted this weeks ago. I said that we will lose less people on a percentage than the regular flu. I think I'll still be right or in line with the regular flu. And but the more we test, the more we see that number continues to go down. And the death rate in this is a lot less. Millions of cases, few deaths. Millions of cases, few deaths. Yeah. At some point, and I understand why everybody was scared, and the doctors even said this, look, we didn't understand the data 2 months ago. We didn't understand the data. We didn't know what was coming, but now we have data. Now we have 2 months, right? Florida was told they're going to need 465,000 nursing beds, right? They used 2,000. Little off, right?
Yeah,
same people doing the global warming. By the way, it's going to snow. They're talking about lake effect snow in Buffalo, New York this Friday. I happen to be up here in Buffalo, New York, in our home flagship office, and they're talking about lake effect snow this Friday. And it's not because things are warmer; it's because it's going to be 40 or 30 something degrees, and then cold weather. Like let me let you in a little secret. If it's warmer and it's 60, it's not snowing, because that's what it was years ago. 60. Now it's going to be 40 this weekend, and they're talking about some nice snow on Friday. So
that's crazy. But
these are the same people with the predicted models.
That's
and by the
right.
way, these are the same people. And you and I laugh every year, right? These are the same people that predict the hurricane schedule in Florida. And every single time they come out and say, this is going to be a bad season, we know that it's not. And every time they say, I don't think so, you and I say, we better call the Florida office and start to prepare, because they are never right. Never.
Let me read more of this Nobel Prize-winning chemist from Stanford University, which is a liberal college, so you guys on the left should like this.
I think, by the way, Yale and Harvard did some study, and similar study, I think.
I know a lot. There's been studies like this from Israel, from Sweden, and they're all saying the same thing. Let me read more of this, though. This may seem like a technical distinction, but its implications are profound. The unmitigated scenarios modeled by, among others, Imperial College, and which tilted governments across the world into drastic action, relied on presumption of continued exponential growth. That, with a consistent R number of significantly above 1 and consistent death rate, very quickly the majority of the population would be infected and huge numbers of death would be recorded. But Professor Levitt's point is that hasn't actually happened anywhere, even in countries that have been relatively lax in their responses. Instead of strict lockdown orders, Levitt told the paper here, Unheard, that developing herd immunity was a better strategy to fighting the virus. Let's see. I think the policy of herd immunity is the right policy. I think Britain was exactly on the right track before they were fed wrong numbers, and they made a huge mistake. I see the standout winners as Germany and Sweden. They didn't practice too much lockdown, and they got enough people sick to get to herd immunity, Levitt said. I see the standout losers as countries like Austria, Australia, and Israel that had very strict lockdown, but
you can
didn't
put the
have
US
many
in that
cases.
bucket,
You can add the U.S. absolutely to that bucket.
Absolutely,
no doubt about it.
U.S. And the fact that they're treating all these states the same, I mean, shame on our local leadership. Polling cars, I heard him the other day. He goes, well, the numbers are going down, but we're still going to have to be locked down past May 15th.
Why?
Do yourself a favor, Mark. Make sure you wipe out every single possible business that still might actually be surviving here.
Hey, here's a better idea. If they threaten to open, go shut them down, Mark.
Yeah, that's right.
Take away their liquor license
right.
and make sure you shut down their business, Mark, so they can't come back and pay any taxes to your county, you moron.
That's right. And continue to support dirtbags like Cuomo who are letting prisoners out. So we'll let a child rapist out so they don't get COVID.
Right.
But yet, if we catch an owner of a business, if we catch somebody, a landscaper, putting down mulch, I talked to my landscaper. I said, can we do the mulch? He goes, Mike, I can't because it's a $10,000 fine. In fact, his business partner, Glenn, he had to put this wall in his truck. I'm not kidding you. He put this wall in his truck, so his business partner, the guy who does landscaping with him, could sit in the back, because he said, Mike, they're actually pulling people over. I said, you know what? If I'm in a landscaping business, they better not pull me over. I swear to God, I would go haywire.
It's ridiculous.
You have no right getting in my vehicle and telling me who can ride and who can't.
No. I'm going to go home. I'm going to pack everyone in my vehicle and drive around town. I swear to God.
It's different if it's a business, apparently. But he said, Mike, he goes, a landscaper buddy of mine got fined $10,000 because he was putting down mulch. By the way, you police officers love you and support you. Get your shit together.
Yeah, exactly.
Get your shit together.
Yep.
You have to, at some point, step up and defend what you're supposed to be there for. Not this kind of garbage.
Absolutely. Look,
I got the right to assemble. Glenn's got the right to assemble. You have the right to assemble, and you can't do nothing about it.
Exactly right. And I think you need to remember what your oath is to, because remember, when you guys were getting spit on, when water was being dumped on your head, it was the financial guys and conservatives that had the blue back, right?
Right.
We were behind you guys supporting your efforts for law enforcement and things like that. But right now, and I know it's just a handful of folks, it's always a handful, but you need to rein in that handful. What we're seeing on these videos in places like New York City is absolute tyranny, and it's not going to be accepted for very much longer. So keep it up, and you guys are setting yourselves, sadly, because I think you've done a lot to try to maintain a good relationship with the community. You're setting yourself back by decades. If you're uncomfortable, then go talk to your union bosses. That's why you have a union. This is where unions actually are a good thing. We don't talk about the positives of unions. This would be one of those positives of unions, though, right? Yep. So, the fact that you have a union delegation you can go to and say, I'm not comfortable with enforcing tyranny. okay? But for those of you that said, they'll never take away our guns, the police officers would refuse to go door to door. Really? Think again, folks. Watch what they're doing right now.
Your First Amendment right. Why not the Second, right? You can't assemble anymore. The freedom of religion is gone. God forbid you get caught in a church with some of your friends worshiping God, right?
We love you guys to death. We've had your back for decades. We'll continue to have your back. But as Mike just said, and he's absolutely right, get it together, guys. Get it together, okay? You are here to defend the Constitution, not to carry out tyrannical orders from your overlords, okay? And let me tell you something. Those that say I'm just following orders, go look at the Nuremberg trials. Figure out how that worked out for a lot of folks.
That's right.
They hang those people, okay?
That's right.
Those that said, I was just manning the gate because that was following orders, and then they put them on the gallows, and they hanged them after the trials. That's what they did, because that wasn't an excuse for the atrocities that happened. Now, I'm not saying we're anywhere near that level in the United States yet, but when I see things like a Jewish funeral being broken up and de Blasio targeting them specifically and calling them out because they're Jewish, saying, well, this, let me give you a message to the whole community as well as the Jewish community. And one of the Jewish leaders came out and said, wait a minute, just to FYI, de Blasio, when you say the entire community, that includes the Jewish community.
Right.
We're not a separate community than everybody else, right? We're part of this
we got to play his clip, by the way.
Community.
We got to play de Blasio's clip because that clip summarizes everything that this is all about. And for those of you that say it's not Democrat, not Republican, bullshit.
Yes,
bullshit. The first week or two, maybe. Now, this is all about Andrew Cuomo trying to extort money from the federal government to cover up his stupidity over the last bunch of years. And you know what? He's winning, by the way, because New Yorkers are like, this guy's doing a great job.
What a wonderful thing.
This guy's doing a great job. Really, half the people that died were in nursing homes because he forced them to go from hospitals back into nursing homes, knowing that a lot of those people were COVID positive, right? So what could possibly say that's a winning strategy, right? Number one, he's failed on the nursing homes, the most vulnerable people we have, right? He's crushing the economy. He's got no vision as to when we're going to open this. His visionary thinking of being positive. I mean, how about just somebody say, yes, we are going back to baseball games. Yes, we are going to open up restaurants. I mean, all I hear is, and it's like they want this to be for the rest of our lives. We're never going to have any fun. We're never going to get back together.
Think about the power they have. Think about the power they have
that's
right
exactly
now.
right.
Think about the power. These people are drunk on power. Governor Whitmer of Michigan is drunk on power. She can now tell you whether you can buy seeds, what you can purchase in a grocery store.
And
for all those on the left, by the way.
Not giving it up, by the way.
We've said this for years. Those on the left, they always accuse the right of what they themselves are guilty for, right? The whole Me Too movement, they've been throwing dirt at Republicans for years. Oh, guess what? Turned out to be Harvey Weinstein, Bill Clinton, right? Matt Lauer, all the people on the left, right? Everything they say, including stuff like this, is always about turning it back around. So they've been talking about Trump. He's a tyrannical. Oh, he's a dictator. He's a dictator. Republicans are dictators. They seize power. He might not. Trump always trolls when he puts out that video where it's like rolling the calendar year by 2040, 2050. I love it.
Did you see
he just tweets them.
His tweet with Biden and his accuser? And he puts you did because you said
Hillary.
It was
yes,
it was a tweet.
We have to believe the Trump war room puts it out there. Just vicious. I love it.
It's Hillary Clinton. We have to believe every accuser.
Yes, we have to
unless they're accusing a Democrat.
Oh, right. But the thing is, and when you come back to the tyrannical, they talk about the Republicans are dictators and they want tyranny or whatnot. So let me just ask you, look across the country right now, folks. Honestly, if you're a liberal listening to this, you probably haven't made it this far. But if you're still here, if you're still here, I want you to look across the country and say to yourself, which governors and which mayors have seized absolute power?
Right.
The governor of Maine, the governor of New York, the governor of Michigan. Governor of New York, Cuomo has absolute power over the budget and of lawmaking. The governor of Maine, we talked about this on Saturday on the radio show. She has the power to completely suspend laws, to make new laws. These folks now have granted them or given themselves via their Democrat legislature accomplices basically king-like powers.
Unlike
Governor Cuomo has king-like powers all the way till next April. April, folks. He can act as a dictator in New York State for a year. A year. So can the governor of Maine. So can the governor of Michigan. They're already talking about setting themselves up for the lockdowns in September. They're not going to let Trump rallies happen, folks. That's what they want. They don't want conservatives getting together. This is IRS targeting Tea Party groups on overdrive. This is 5.0, not even 2.0. What a great opportunity to keep Biden out of the public, making an ad spend campaign while keeping even in Florida. In Florida and in Palm Beach County, they have the largest Trump support group in the country called Club 45. Guess what? They can't meet anymore. People that are like-minded can't meet anymore, right?
Well, rallies
can't happen.
Add to that, and this is also a positive for them. Biden can't meet anybody, right? So the less he can't even think about this. They could run a video of him, edit it, and put it out there, and they can't even do that right. I mean, you imagine him in front of, what does he get, like 200 or 300 people at a time?
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
Well,
Biden
will still have his rallies. He only has like 8 people there, so he's under the 10.
Plenty of room to social distance,
right? But a Trump rally. So the people, and you're seeing the outrage and the protests across the country. I mean, if you really look online and you kind of search through Twitter and social media, you can find it. You're not seeing in mainstream stuff, but in Florida, you saw the boat parade, huge, right? Huge boat parade.
Even in places like California, though, you're starting to see. That's the shame of it. You look at places like New York and California, geographically, they're pretty conservative. There's still a lot of people there that are stuck there, right? By the way, there's going to be more people stuck there. There's going to be people that can't sell their house after this mess, right? They want to move to Florida. They want to get out of California and move to Texas or move to Nevada. The states, by the way, and we've been saying this for the last few weeks, the states that happen to be run by conservative-thinking Republicans are going to win like you've never seen before.
Oh, yeah.
I've been saying this like the stock market, right? The stock market will be okay. Why? Because the winners will emerge and the losers will go away.
Yep.
Right? The same is going to happen here, where you will see, and I'm telling you, we've been seeing this for years, but now, to me, it's like a funnel, where now all of a sudden you're starting to see this massive increase in people going, oh, you're shutting my business down in New York, and Mark Poloncarz is telling me he doesn't know when I can open. Oh, Andrew Cuomo doesn't know either. None of them have a visionary plan. Okay, I'm not re-signing my lease that's going to come due in August. And yes, these are true stories.
Yes.
I'm not signing my lease that's coming due in July. I'm just going to move. I wanted to go to Carolina. I wanted to go to Texas. I wanted to go to Florida anyways.
Yep.
Now's my opportunity. So those folks, by the way, those of you who were smart enough to buy properties in these conservative thinking states, you'll be just fine. You'll work through it. Your tax revenue will end up going up. You'll have more people coming there, more people spending money, more businesses trying to open, more permits being filed. The states like New York and California, get ready, bend over. It's coming.
So has
It's
Georgia or South Carolina seen a crazy hospital rush and spikes in cases?
How many,
No.
by the way, this is a true story, folks, they've been basically, they're going on, a week and a half now.
Yeah.
So every day I've been texting Glenn, still waiting for the bad stories about these massive overwhelmings of hospital systems in the state of Georgia. But you know what? The mainstream media, as creepy as they are, they will not run a story on that. Why? Because the news is the same. It hasn't changed, right? We know from the numbers from Sweden that social distancing did not work, right? Quarantining people, locking people in their house did not work. We know that the numbers basically in Sweden and Norway pretty much the same. One country locked down everybody, the other one didn't, right? So we need to open back up. And by the way, shame on these leaders for not saying, you know what?
Yep.
We did everything we could. We were scared of this. We didn't understand. You know what?
Yep.
Conservative, Republican, all Andrew Cuomo and Poloncarz have to do is say, look, we were trying to protect people.
Yeah.
We had no clue how bad this was going to be.
Yep.
But guess what? The numbers are coming in very different now.
Yep.
And we're going to start to structure a plan to open. Instead, they can't find a way to support one business owner
They don't want
start
to.
to get this thing moving.
They don't
right?
want to
They
because
don't want to.
Poloncarz
They
has ultimate power
Yep.
right now.
Yep.
Cuomo has ultimate power. Let me read this little piece of this article, which is a joke, right? This is WIVB. The number of hospitalizations, ICU beds needed, and ICU airway assists are all down in Erie County. Now those numbers are only on a slight downward trend, but officials say any lower numbers are good numbers. Case numbers are not low enough, however, to reopen as of yet. Erie County Executive Mark Poloncarz says he does not think this region of the state will be opening on May 15th, the date previously suggested as a possibility by Governor Cuomo. Officials are reminding people to keep wearing their masks and maintain social distancing. Shut up.
Yeah.
Shut up
That's right.
about the mask and social distancing.
Right.
Let people make their own decisions.
That's
For those of you that say, it's not fair, you're going to come out, you're going to affect other people, stay home.
Stay home.
Order your food online
That's
and
right.
stay in your own damn house. You want to live in your basement? Live in your basement, okay?
Yeah. If you think your immune system is compromised, and by the way, some people are, right? Like, look at, I remember when my wife, she was pregnant with our first daughter, and we were about 2 weeks away, and she was working with us in the office. And I said, you really need to take some time off. Just, you know what? It's 2 weeks away. Take some time off. I don't want you to get the flu or sick, right?
Sure.
Look at if you've got an elderly person or somebody, look, you can make those decisions on your own. What drives me absolutely crazy, and by the way, Mike Lomas is not saying this today. Mike Lomas said this 5 weeks ago, how asinine this was. Kids with these masks on, you are crushing their immune systems. And the doctors supported me last week and said, yes, you cannot bubble wrap a child. There's nothing more aggravating than when I see a family driving down the street and the kids are all wearing masks. No, you are bubble wrapping these children. You are crushing their immune systems. That's not building a healthy society, right? We are going to have all kinds of problems from this. And you can play the tapes weeks ago. I said the cure for this thing will be way worse than the flu. And I will absolutely be 1,000% right on this. From economic damage to crushing children's immune systems for
to destroying their education, to setting them back a year.
Absolutely.
Look, the kids, there's been one child that has died, and they're shutting down all the schools in New York until the end of the year.
Ridiculous.
And they're talking about the fall, by the way.
Yeah,
the only reason they're
ridiculous.
talking about the fall is because that's when the election is.
Yeah, that's right.
That's when the election
That's
is.
right.
I keep
That's
telling
right.
you, this thing will disappear the first Wednesday after the first Tuesday of November. Mark my
I think
words,
regardless,
right?
by the way, right? Because they either
Sure.
know, okay, they've got 4 more years of Trump, and then we'll move on, and hopefully they can
No.
find a candidate that doesn't have Alzheimer's.
Right.
Or we got Biden, and if Biden wins, wow, remarkably, the numbers went away, right? Just
Yep.
like, and you've been saying this for a
Yep.
while, the body count in the Iraq war
Stopped.
Miraculously, Obama stopped. Nobody died after Obama won.
Right.
It was crazy.
Amazing.
We went from
Let me-
Bush, the body count every day, how tragic it was, and then all of a sudden, the next day, gone.
Let me read you these statistics in Erie County. Erie County population, 918,000. 3,802 confirmed cases. That's 0.41%. So if you go out to a grocery store, okay, if there's 200 people in that store, less than one person,
Less than one.
less than one person, 0.82% of a person in that store would actually be infected potentially with the COVID. Okay, it's so low that it's ridiculous. Okay, now look at Palm Beach County. Palm Beach County, 1.5 million people, 2,763 confirmed cases. That's a 0.18. That's even lower. So, I mean, that's you're talking about really, really low numbers. Okay, let me play this clip of Poland Carzo because I think, or De Blasio, excuse me.
Yeah.
You'll kind of get an idea of why these people. They're drunk on the power. Again, liberals always talk about everything that they are themselves guilty of. They project onto the other side, the Republicans, right? Everything, whether it's sex abuse or whatever, right? In this case, they're projecting. In the fucking I lost my train of thought now.
The outcome. They're projecting the outcome. What's going to happen after?
No. But in this case, they're the tyrannical side of it. Excuse me, I'm trying to read this at the same time. The Trump is tyrannical, and the Republicans are want to be dictators. And look at what they've done. They've all granted themselves unlimited power. Let me play this clip of De Blasio.
Is this the clip that we cut out?
Yeah, this is the clip we cut out. Exactly.
Okay. I want you to listen to this, folks. Listen to every word he says. Okay, really, really think this through. Spend some time.
Shouldn't multitask sometimes. I'm trying to finish my thought while I'm actually searching
that's
something
all right.
at the same time.
You're smart enough to do it.
Here we go.
So I want to affirm, I think, the basic point you're making, which is that we are not looking to simply bring back the status quo that existed before the coronavirus.
No.
I think that would be a huge mistake.
Huge mistake.
Now, Gersh, my first concern here is the health and safety of New Yorkers. So,
Sure, I bet.
one, the planning has to recognize that we have to get it right on ending this crisis. And if you look around the world, coronavirus is not linear. It doesn't just have an on-off switch.
Hold on a second. Actually, according to this Nobel Prize-winning scientist,
It is.
it is linear. Thank you very much. Wrong again,
It
the
is.
Dumbo.
Yeah, but think about this. Now, he wants to come out of this very different, right?
course
You
he
can
does.
never waste a crisis.
No.
So keep that in mind.
That's right.
All right.
Maybe fighting it in different ways for an extended period of time.
Sure.
So I want to be careful that people not think we turn a corner and we're done necessarily. We have
No.
to be smart about that.
Yeah.
But when you think about where we are going forward, and when we think where we are now and how we have to move forward, the first thing I would say we need to do is fight inequality.
Well,
This is what
are
I
you
came here to
talking
do.
about?
This is what New Yorkers
that.
What are you-
Stop that.
fundamentally
Stop
believe
that.
in.
We
What
can't
are you
even get through this.
talking
on the-
about?
Stop-
First thing we got to do is fight inequality. That's like saying the first thing
I
we
thought
got
we
to
had
do.
to fight the virus.
I, no, the virus is racist, Mike. I mean, clearly the virus just doesn't like black and brown people.
Yes,
clearly,
inner city, clearly. Yeah.
What a joke. The first thing I got to back that up.
Yeah,
the first thing we have to do is fight
inequality. When I listened to this clip, Glenn, I remember weeks ago I listened to this and I'm thinking to myself, holy crap, that 3-minute block was everything that we said weeks ago that they would turn this into.
Yep.
You can never let an opportunity go wasted. Hillary Clinton, by the way, said the same thing. It's a great opportunity for socialized medicine.
Yep.
And by the way, don't think for a second that the Claude Piven strategy, which we talked about years ago, may not be coming into play here, right? we talked about Obama collapsing the economy with debt.
Yep.
And one more, we said for years, look at the bad states are not even making it in the good times. What happens when the bad times come? Well, they're here, right? And they don't seem to give a shit. They really don't. They don't talk about opening the economy and getting tax revenue back. They don't care,
they don't
right?
care.
Is this the Claude Piven strategy? Let's bankrupt the country.
Yep.
Clearly, this guy wants it changed, right? He said, look, we're going to come out of this. We want to be very differently. And the first thing is not to stop the virus. The first thing is inequality. We're just going to redistribute money, right?
Exactly.
Oh, by the way, his money won't get redistributed. I assure you of that.
Well, he's going to redistribute yours to his wife.
Yeah.
$1.2 billion to his wife Charlene,
Yes.
who's nothing but a scammer. She's built a health agency that is actually not doing anything, but yet she gets paid a ridiculous amount of money. $1 billion, folks. He funneled $1 billion+ to his wife. And I mean, what a joke. I mean, just in-your-face corruption.
Yep.
New York State spent $2.8 billion on fighting COVID, according to the Buffalo News. Nobody has any idea where that money went. Nobody has any idea how Cuomo could have possibly spent $2.8 billion. On what? On masks? On what? $2.8 billion on what?
Right.
On respirators that you didn't need? But let's remember, we had
a boat that we had to have that was empty.
Yeah, well, you didn't pay for that. That wasn't off of Cuomo's dime. Anyway, let me finish this clip if we can.
We'll find out it ended
10
up in the
more seconds
Cuomo
of it.
campaign chest.
I'm sure it did.
This is what I came here to do. This is what New Yorkers, I think, fundamentally believe in. We're still a city.
Wait a minute. Back this up.
What New Yorkers? Because I'm there and I
don't
don't
believe
believe
people
it.
not think we turn a corner and we're done necessarily.
No.
We have to be smart about that.
That's right.
But when you think about where we are going forward, and when we think where we are now and how we have to move forward, the first thing I would say we need to do is fight inequality.
Makes sense.
This is what I came here to do. This is what New Yorkers, I think, fundamentally believe in. We're
He's not lying
still
about
a
that.
city
That's what he came there to do.
racked by inequality. We must do.
We're still a city racked by inequality.
How could that be
The
with all the
Democrats
socialism that's been going on for decades?
But you've been running the city for 10 years.
Right.
Like de Blasio has not been there for 10 years, but certainly Bloomberg was, right?
Right.
You've had nanny state liberals
Andrew's been
running
there
New York
for years.
City for years and years and years.
Right.
Why is inequality such a problem in the liberal
We have
states?
the highest taxes in the country, right? In line with, probably the highest taxes. I don't know, California.
No, California's higher.
It's a nice competition there. But the fact of the matter is those two states have the highest taxes. They've done the most amount of socialism.
Yeah.
Why is the gap between the rich and poor
Right.
the biggest then?
Right.
You should have fixed this.
Right.
This should be, at least it should be
Exactly.
smaller. Right?
Exactly.
I should look at Florida and I should look at Texas and I should say, wait a minute, look at the gap is wider there.
Right.
Clearly it's working in New York.
Right.
But it's not.
You would look at a place like Florida or Texas or Tennessee or North Carolina and say, well, there's a huge discrepancy. You got super uber wealthy
Right.
and then all these poor people. Let's see. Where does that look like? Oh, L.A., San Francisco.
New York City. Yeah.
Boston, Chicago, Detroit, right? All these liberal-run places, the wealthy get wealthier. Charlene, his wife, has gotten $1 billion of taxpayer money. Do you think de Blasio, who went in poor, is going to come out poor? Oh, no. De Blasio will come out as a mega millionaire. Remember? Hillary Clinton came out and she was poor when she left the White House and then somehow amassed hundreds of millions of dollars. Nancy Pelosi has never made more than $200,000 in her congressional job at her base salary, yet somehow has amassed over $250 million in personal wealth. So much so that because everyone who makes $180,000 a year has two $25,000 refrigerators and freezers and custom ice cream. And
that's a heck of a. We're in the money management business.
Oh,
That's a
my
heck of a money
Lord.
manager. We haven't found that money manager yet.
I mean,
that's
just unbelievable.
That's a magic money manager,
right?
there.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Well, that's the insider
It's
trading
amazing.
congressional money
with,
manager.
We work with chartered financial analysts, PhDs, all this. Nobody has figured out the investment model that Nancy Pelosi has.
Oh yeah, she's got it. Well, that's how it works. Is you just
Yeah.
you buy a company and you pass legislation to help that company. and you
That's
sell a
right.
company, you pass legislation to hurt that company. And
That's
it's
right.
pretty easy, really.
That's right.
I
And
mean,
you
could
buy
you
it
imagine?
before you get
Yep.
all that news, before
But
it's
yet,
out to the
the
public.
places where the poor are suffering the most, the places where there's the widest gap, the places where there's the most poverty, the places where there's the least amount of health care, where the lowest life expectancy, all those places are liberal-run places. And I'm not saying like the liberals just took over. The liberals have been in these places for 40, 50
60
years,
years, yep.
60 years. And so New York and Buffalo, New York has been run by Democrats for 50 years, right?
Takes time, Glenn.
We have the fourth highest child poverty rate in the country in New York.
We have schools, right? 40%
worst schools,
graduation rates. If we're lucky.
30% unemployment in the city of Buffalo. How can that be?
Right.
50 years of Democrat leadership.
Takes time, Glenn.
How
it
can
takes
that
time.
be? I guess.
It just takes time.
All right, let's see if we can get through the next 30 seconds of this clip without stopping it. Oh, man.
Many things differently, and it starts with making sure that working people have better lives and have the ability to really take care of their families in a whole new way. And this is where I think the healthcare disparities have been pointed out
there we
here.
go.
Well,
So
stop it right
painfully,
there. By the
our
way,
call to
the
arms.
unintended consequences of COVID, thousands and thousands of people are now
Millions.
losing their health care because they're
Millions.
losing their jobs.
Millions,
Millions,
Mike.
yeah.
Millions.
Jobs. That's the key here. The blood to jobs. Not government, not free handouts. It's actually being employed for a living, which means that you and your buddies need to figure out a way to reopen the economy before we continue to destroy more and more wealth.
A three-letter word, jobs, J-O-B-S.
I had to get that one in there. That's your presidential nominee for the Democrat
Yes.
Party right there. I love
That's
it.
right.
All right.
The ability to really take care of their families in a whole new way. And this is where I think the healthcare disparities have been pointed out here so painfully are a call to arms. That when we come back, when we start our recovery, it has to be also about a redistribution. It has to be about fundamental changes
Here we go.
in the direction of fairness and justice and equality. So I think the first question is about health and safety, is about economic justice. But then talking about how we address the future of the city in terms of sustainability.
Can you put that on hold for
in
one
terms of
second? He talks
transportation.
about people not having access to health care. Where in the hell was that? Where was that? Because I
Not in
didn't
New
see
York.
anybody who didn't get health care that they needed. In fact, the Trump administration did an incredible job, an explosive job of getting ventilators and everything else to a city that was ill-prepared for this, that was warned about stuff like this, that really was, in the end, funded or over-prepared by or I just say funded by the federal government, right? I mean, we sent them too many supplies. We will have way too many ventilators now. We had way too many hospital beds, right? But who was it that had COVID-19 that walked in the hospital and didn't get taken care of? Who was that? I want to see that person. I want to meet him. Because I continue to hear how bad the healthcare system was, yet I haven't found anybody who walked in with COVID-19 and got kicked out, who walked in with COVID-19 and didn't get with it. The only people that didn't get the ventilators was because your friend Andrew was hiding them. That's
He was
it.
stockpiling, Mike. Stockpiling. He was saving them.
Yeah.
He was saving them. We have the Cadillac Medicaid plan in the country in New York State. For those of you that don't know, in New York State, we spend more money on Medicaid than Texas and California combined. There is not a single benefit as a Medicaid recipient that you are not entitled to. In fact, if you're on Medicaid, you have better health care and better treatment with lower copays, if any copays, than most of the private sector does. I pay $15,000 a year for the privilege of having a $5,000 deductible before I even get anything that helps me or my family.
That's going up,
whatsoever.
too.
Oh, you better believe it is.
Yeah.
Let's play more of this clip.
Justice. But then talking about how we address the future of the city in terms of sustainability, in terms of transportation, unquestionably we need to make more changes.
Unquestionably. I haven't destroyed
I have
near enough of the city
a
yet.
real feeling that this horrible, horrible crisis,
horrible.
unprecedented, at the same time as it's so horrible unto itself, it's such a jolt. It's the worst healthcare crisis in a century. It's the worst
No,
economic
that's not
crisis.
true.
No, it's not true.
Hold on a second.
Yeah. No.
The worst healthcare crisis.
Well, let me say this. The response to it has been the worst.
Well, that's for
He
sure.
might be
Yeah.
right by the time they're done because the
on.
damage the government is doing by closing businesses and forcing people to stay at home, they may have actually created the worst mess ever, but it wasn't going into it.
We didn't have antibiotics prior to World War II. Do you understand that, folks?
Yeah.
I mean, if you had something like, I don't know, a bacterial cut in your finger, you might lose your hand or die, right? Those are really normal things, right? You had a bladder infection, probably killed you, right?
Yep.
No antibiotics, folks.
Right.
Don't tell me. We had things like polio, for God's sakes, right?
They might make this the worst, though. By the time we're done, 30% unemployment rates, the suicides from people losing their businesses, losing their house.
Yeah, well, that's the response. That's not the disease itself.
That's right. That's right. That's exactly right. Yeah.
80 years. I think it's also preparing us for something ahead, and I wish it wasn't. I really
Socialism.
do, but I think
That's what he's talking about,
It
folks.
is preparing us for something.
It is. Yeah.
Which is the battles we'll have to face in the future in the fight against global warming.
For
there
God's
we go.
sakes.
We all understand
You know what we
how
should
dangerous
do?
that situation
We should get
is.
the
So
same
it comes-
academics that predicted this model to look at the global warming one.
Oh, like Imperial College in Britain. Oh,
Yeah, there you go.
The
There
same
you go.
Imperial College that basically has now destroyed the British economy. This is the most
Glenn, I got an
ridiculous
idea.
thing.
Why don't we just send some money to, like, I don't know, like a laboratory in China and see
that's
if
a
they
great
can
idea.
figure it out?
Hey,
right?
let's
give them
yeah.
$3.7 million and see what happens.
Yeah, let's study. By the way, for those of you that say, you guys are conspiracy theorists, this didn't escape a lab. This is because Chinese people are eating bats. You show me one shred of evidence that there was any bats for sale in that Wuhan wet market, because people like Tucker Carlson and Fox News and others have actually done research, and they can't find a single Chinese national that says, yes, I go to the Wuhan market, and yes, I buy bats. No one has seen them there. Yet, within, I don't know, like 2 miles, you could throw a rock, there happens to be a Wuhan laboratory that just so happens to study horseshoe bats and coronavirus. But yet, we're the conspiracy nuts, right? Give me a break. Look, for those of you that don't believe in this, I said this a couple weeks ago, I'm going to say it again. A book written by Preston, I forgot his first name, but it's written by Preston. It's called The Hot Zone, okay? It's about a 1992 Ebola outbreak that escaped the lab in Washington, D.C. Yes, I said that, folks. Right in the heart of D.C., right in Washington, there is a high-level, level 4 infectious disease lab where they were studying Ebola back in 1992. It escaped the lab. They literally had to come in and kill everything, monkeys and everything in the lab. They surrounded it with military. They blacked everything out. There was no news about this. Nothing even came out about this until years later when this guy wrote the book. So go read the book. It's worth it. It's a good read. It's called The Hot Zone. You will not be able to put it down. There's multiple hot zones. I'm talking about the hot zone that was written about the Ebola outbreak in Washington, D.C. I think the book was written about 1998 by a man named Preston. It's a very good book. For those of you that say, well, that never happens, they're not studying stuff like that in the labs. They're studying stuff like that in labs right in Virginia and D.C. So are they doing it in Wuhan? You bet your butt they're doing it in Wuhan, right? Now, what happened is did the Chinese release it on purpose? I don't know.
Probably
right?
not.
I don't. Probably not, right? It probably was a containment breach.
It was
a
an
scientist
accident.
was studying
They-
it.
they
had
covered it up.
They had a breach in there, whatever. They got sick. They covered it up. They spread it, and of course, what the best part is that these folks on the left are like, wow, we should be following the Chinese model. Really? Because I don't know, they were putting people in body bags who weren't actually dead yet. They were screwing people's, welding their doors shut,
Welding their doors
so
shut
they
and locking them into
starved
their
to
house.
death in their apartments so they wouldn't spread it.
We
Is
should
that
do the Chinese
look?
model.
Right now we have a bad cops kicking in people's head on the streets in New York City. We've got drones flying over New Jersey and Connecticut telling
how
people
scary,
to stay
by the
away
way,
from
is
each
that
other.
drone? That drone that reminds, like, that's
I'm
something
shooting it
you'd
down.
see out of
I'm
a
just telling you.
communist country.
I am
said that
shooting
too.
it down.
Yeah, they come in my yard, I am shooting it down.
There's
I
no
am
question in my
absolutely shooting it
mind
down.
that you are within shotgun range. That thing
Yep.
is going down. I don't
I agree.
care. I'm
Yep.
going to perceive it as a threat because I don't know if that thing is armed. Who knows?
Yep.
It's yelling at me right now. What if the
Right.
next thing is it's shooting at me? I
How
don't know.
ridiculous
Come
is that?
on.
How
This is the
ridiculous
Hunger
is
Games
that?
now.
This
Look,
is the United
this
States
is
of
out
America.
of control.
Yeah,
out
by the
of
way,
control.
freedom is essential too, and I think we
Yeah,
need to
well,
remember that, right?
you
I
know
think
what?
we need to get some bumper stickers together, raise
Yeah.
some money for a charity.
I'll
Freedom
take my
is essential.
dangerous freedom. I'll take
That's
my
right.
dangerous freedom over
That's
my
right.
tyrannical safety all day long.
That's right.
Again, those of you that want to hide in mommy's basement, go
Yeah,
for it.
go for
Stay
it.
in your house. In fact, I'll deliver food to
You're
you.
probably
okay?
not going to work anyways.
Of course not. It's all these same people that are still either being paid or have never actually gotten a paycheck that
Yep.
are the ones that saying, we should just stay home forever. This is
Yeah.
great. I don't
This
ever
is
have to
great.
get out of my jammies or do my hair again. This
Hopefully
is
this
wonderful.
lasts until July. Get the whole
Yeah,
summer off.
Exactly. The rest of the society would like to actually pay their bills and put food on the table and pay their mortgage. I'm just saying.
That's right.
All right, let's see if we can actually get to the rest of this clip. We'll see. Doubt it.
Your point. to fight global warming, we have to get away from individual automobile use.
Okay, let me just say something there. I can't
taking your
even
car
get
away.
through it. I can't get through it.
I'm taking
you
your car
just
away.
drove. I'm sorry, you didn't drive. You just had people drive you.
Yes, that's right.
30 minutes
well, you
from
have to
your
get rid of your
house,
car, Glenn.
and you live in a park. You
Yeah.
drove 30. I'm sorry, I made a mistake. You had other people drive you 30 minutes to a different park so you could take a walk in that park. Do you see the hypocrisy in this, Mr. de Blasio?
My favorite was the Obamas that used to talk about taking your car away and making sure if you did have a car that it was one of these little roller skates, and then they would be driven in a bulletproof SUV, the biggest one you could find.
That's right.
Driven around town anywhere they wanted to go.
Unreal.
By somebody else. Yeah. Still being driven, by the way. Playing golf last week as Michelle was sending out a message to make sure you're quarantined
You
in your
stay
basement.
home. Yeah, wonderful golf course when nobody's on it, huh?
Yeah. But now look, think about this, folks. So global warming, inequality, we're going to redistribute your money. Oh, and by the way, the kicker is we're also going to take your car.
That's right. It's better because they're going to take your money, too.
Away from individual automobile use a lot more.
I'm sorry.
We have to
Seemed to work out real well, jamming everybody into a subway car,
I was
huh?
just going to say that. I got to stop it again.
Holy cow.
I mean, we just had this ridiculous outbreak in New York City. Why? Because of the mass transit system there.
Yeah.
By the way,
the one, by the way, that they just decided to clean up this week.
Exactly.
Like not months ago, right? And Andrew, by the way, this is how stupid people are in New York, right?
Oh,
He
man.
goes, "Hey, I got a great idea. 6 weeks later, we're going to actually disinfect the subway cars." Wow. You are a leader, man.
Wow.
That's even smarter than when you said, when the hospitals are full,
Right.
we're going to put some people into a hospital that's not
I
full.
love that. So hospital here gets full.
Full.
This is very complicated, he said.
Even better than 2 weeks ago when you started off by saying, "Hey, folks, it's Saturday."
Right.
Holy shit.
That's a fact.
This is
Fact.
genius.
The slide. Who's doing a slideshow? Fourth grader? I mean, seriously? I mean, is he got like is a kindergarten class doing
Right.
here little boys and girls? Today's project is the slide presentation for Como's press conference.
Yeah.
Today is Saturday. That's
If you
a
get
fact.
time- yeah. If you get
Holy
time after
cow.
this, stick around. The mayor's going to talk about stealing your car.
The best part was this is complicated. The
Yeah.
hospitals that are full,
Full.
we want to transfer those to hospitals that are less full.
I don't have enough ventilators.
Right.
Andrew,
We gotta put
they're
a montage
in
up
a
there.
warehouse down the street. Yes, I'm storing them.
Yes, I mean stockpiling them.
Stockpiling them.
What a joke.
But this guy's
For
a genius.
future usage.
This guy's a genius. This guy should run the whole country.
Let me tell you something. When
Never
your
thought about stuff
when
like this.
That's like your house being on fire. Okay, your house
Right.
is burning. The
And not
fire
taking the
department
hose out.
shows up and says, "Well, we're going to save our water until it really starts to blaze." Right? We don't want to use our water quite
Right.
yet. We're
Look
going to
at-
save it to it. But there's a fire hydrant right there. Is it like an unlimited supply of water? Yeah. Well,
it's just
but
the second story though.
we
When
don't-
it hits the
yeah,
first floor,
Yeah, when it's
that's
fully
when we'll come in.
engulfed, when it's really, really, we're going to stockpile
That's
this
when we'll
water
come
until
in.
it's really almost to ashes
Yeah.
at this
Genius.
point. Yeah, that's real
genius.
smart. Real
Fireman of
smart.
the year. Fireman of the year.
There you go.
City that more and more will rely on mass transit. We have to double down on everything
Double
we've done
down.
with Vision Zero.
Double down.
Yeah, double
That's
down.
right.
I intend
Highest
to
deaths in the world, by the way.
create
Double
a
down on
plan
that.
will do all of that.
I'm sure you
good.
will.
Good.
Because when we finish beating this enemy, we've got another enemy up ahead.
It's you.
That's
That's exactly
fierce.
what I was going to say.
That's the enemy in the
when
state
we're done
right
beating
there.
this enemy.
The mental illness called
right.
liberalism.
That's
That's
right.
that's the enemy of the state right there.
That's
The
right.
mental
Well,
illness called liberalism
that's right.
is what has destroyed this state. It's destroyed Illinois, it's destroyed New Jersey, and it's destroying California.
Yep, absolutely. Yeah, we're gonna when we're done beating this virus, we're gonna beat you if you go outside. If we don't do anything we did tell you not
Not
to.
done yet. Not done yet, by the way. Is there any more of that?
Yeah.
And that is bearing down on us quickly, and we're going to all have to work together to fight.
Wait a minute. Hold on a second. Let me back this.
Finish beating this enemy.
Yep.
We've got another enemy up ahead
Conservatives.
that's fierce.
November.
And
It's
that
called
is bearing
Donald Trump.
down on us quickly, and we're going to all have to work together
What
to
is
fight.
that? What's that, Mayor?
And getting out of our cars to the maximum extent possible is part of that fight. So,
I see.
yes, you will see those plans for the future of this city.
Yep. Wall
nice.
Street, you can might as well move now to Palm Beach now. We're going to
Yes.
clear a plot of land for you because there will be no New York City left at some point. If de
No.
Blasio continues, look, people are leaving in droves
Yep.
before the dictatorship of de Blasio and Cuomo.
Yep. Yep.
What do you think they're going to do now? they're going to be leaving as fast as they can to states that are free. We always talk about money going to the place where it's treated the best. Well, guess what? Freedom is no different. We literally had, my ancestors, by the way, have been here since before the founding of this country. They fled Britain because of religious persecution, and now we're arresting pastors and churches for having drive-through services. You can't do that. If I owned a church right now, I'd be opening it up and saying
we're an essential business, but if we weren't an essential business, Glenn, we would be open.
Absolutely.
And we would be fighting every step of the way.
But you can't. It's right there. It's the first. It's right in the First Amendment. It's the first one.
Yep. First
it's not
one.
Buried in like 12
Don't even
or
need
13.
to get to 4 or 5.
It's
yeah.
number
Don't even need to
one.
get to 4 or 5.
It's
but
number one.
But the intention, right, is to go
Lord.
right down the list, right? I mean, they want your guns. That'll be number 2.
Yeah.
So let's just get rid of the first one and then move on.
I
to
love
the
the people that say,
second.
"Wow, but it's a crisis, Mike. It's an emergency. It's a crisis, right?"
It's crazy.
So
that's by the way, every time there's a crisis, that's when you really need to assemble and keep your freedoms.
That's right. Well, I remember
more so, not less so. Those were written because of stuff like this.
I remember a crisis, Mike, about 20 years ago where they killed 3,000 Americans, okay? We had raging terrorists throughout the world, right? And the crisis was we didn't know where the next major strike would be. We didn't know if they were going to take on an airplane, blow up another building. And so what we did is we captured some of these folks on the battlefield, and we did something called waterboarding, remember? Now, these folks do not have U.S. rights. They are not U.S. citizens. They are enemy combatants captured during wartime, okay? These folks do not get constitutional rights of due process or whatever, okay? But there was crazy outcry from the people on the left. You can't, this is cruel and unusual punishment against the 7th Amendment and blah, 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 blah. Well, they don't get that, right? But those same exact liberals, those same exact people are the same ones right now saying, well, it's a crisis. We should be able to suspend the First Amendment on
That's
U.S.
right.
citizens. You can't go to church. You can't
It's only
assemble.
a small break with your business.
It's
Don't
no
worry
big deal.
about it.
Yeah, no. We can suspend the First Amendment because it's a crisis. Even though we had 3,000 Americans killed on 9/11, that truly was a crisis. And yet somehow, for people that don't even get constitutional rights, we wanted to give them constitutional rights of cruel and unusual punishment. Because remember they said, wow, it's just not, it's cruel, so we can't do it. Even if it saves one American, it's not worth it. I disagree. Start cutting off fingers if that's what it takes.
That's
To
right.
be honest with you, if you got a terrorist scumbag like whatever his name was, waterboarding,
Cut
I
his
would
ear
just
off first.
You're right. I would just
That's right.
waterboarding. You're a lot nicer than me.
We
Kidding
got to
me?
we got to get the
Jeez.
clip of Andrew Cuomo. He was, I'm having a brain freeze now. What was he talking about yesterday? Oh, sorry, I lost my train of thought.
That's all
we
right.
were going through.
We're going a mile a minute.
Yeah,
It's just so frustrating to me. Anyway, this is probably a more aggressive show than we normally would, but I got to tell you, folks, we are fed up. I am tired, sick, and I'm hearing from business owners. Mike's hearing from business owners. We're getting calls now of people saying, "Guys, where can I move and how do I liquidate my business?"
It's coming
Guys,
fast.
Give me,
It's coming fast.
Look at who went bankrupt this week. J. Crew, huge
Yeah,
company.
you're going to see
bankrupt.
way more retailers go bankrupt.
Look at the stores. Duffy's in Florida, Carrabba's. They're all on the verge of bankruptcy, folks.
Yeah.
You're going to start seeing massive waves of bankruptcy here. But hey, you liberals, De Blasio, Poland card, just a pause. Hey, just a pause.
Well,
when there's no revenue, do you think that he's going to be able to build any more bike paths? No, he's going to shut the bike paths down because there'll be no money to run Chestnut Ridge Park.
That's
no
what I meant
money.
to say.
That's it. There'll be no money to
Andrew
open parks.
yesterday, it was yesterday the day before in his press conference, he was talking about how easy it was. The opening up is going to be way harder. So he's already taking credit for this, right? Like, look at how great I am to open up. But this is what he says. It's easy to shut down a business, right? You just lock the door and shut down the power. No big deal. That's really what he said. He's like, it's no big deal. Shutting down is easy. But me, the great Andrew Cuomo, as I open up this thing, it's going to be really difficult. And I'm thinking to myself, you dirtbag, like how easy it is. Can you imagine your whole life is in this business, how easy it is to just walk in and turn the power down? Oh, I'm sure it's nothing, right? What about all the product that got wasted? What about the fact that if I owned a brewery, now all my stuff, my product's gone. I've got to somehow get people in there to clean everything up, right? I mean, just to say that and not focus on the incredible damage you're doing is totally beyond ignorant.
Total ignorance.
Shutting down was easy. You just walk in. Pull the lights down, and then lock the door. Oh, okay.
You contrast that with DeSantis in Florida. Governor DeSantis came out and said, "Look, we know we're going to try to open as fast as we can. We know the businesses are suffering. We know that we have people in nursing homes that want to see the loved ones. We know that we have where people are hurting, and we want to do
Yeah.
the best we can to get back to normal. In New York, they're talking about we're never going back to normal.
DeSantis
This
has
is our
got a
new
brain in his
normal.
head, and he's not looking at COVID in a box, right?
Right.
Cuomo is looking at it in a box. He's putting it in a neat box. He's
Yep.
wrapping it up, and he's trying to take as much power as he can. And de
Absolutely.
Blasio, you just heard the clips. He's doing the same damn thing.
Yep.
He's trying to put COVID in a box. It's all about just COVID. Forget about the people who are dying of heart disease or liver failure because they can't get the help. And we're hearing that, by the way. We've got a very big retail practice, and I'm hearing that. Loved ones saying, you know what? My son, my daughter. I was talking to somebody the other day. They had a brain hemorrhage, and they could not get the help. The mom was not allowed in the hospital. This is her son.
Crazy.
Was not allowed in the hospital because of COVID-19. The unintended consequences of this are huge. The problem that the government is always doing this, right? But the solution here is going to be way, way bigger than the problem.
Yep.
Way, way bigger than the problem. So-
Liberal wins are stacking up here. Here's one from ABC News. We'll end it with this maybe. Officers arrested and released a suspect 3 times in one day after he was repeatedly let go based on the zero bail policy that California has put into effect due to the coronavirus. Now, California put a zero bail policy during the virus. We have it all year round in New York,
yeah.
right?
You got to catch up, California.
We have.
That's
Man
one thing we
arrested,
got you
He was
on.
arrested 3 times in one day and still let out.
Usually what happens is California does something really left-wing dumb, and then we just say we've got to do that, right? But this time we got you. Yeah.
Yep, absolutely.
It's good.
So, yeah,
But
so
you know what, though?
crazy.
If you let them out of jail, they won't get COVID. So, and certainly they'll
Yep.
do the social distancing thing. Look, there's nobody that will listen to and do what's in the best interest of the surrounding area and the community more than somebody who's a felon.
Here's one more for the tyrannical governments out there. This is New Jersey. Elizabeth, New Jersey police. They put out a tweet. You cannot make this stuff up, folks. With a video. Here's what the tweet says. Regarding comments on drones, we are trying to save lives, not be Big Brother. If this plan saves one life, then it's worth it. All it's doing is spreading an automated notice about social distance. No recording or pictures are taken. Just a tool of encouragement to follow the rules. Except for the video you included in the tweet. So no videos or pictures are taken except this one. How stupid do you think we are? It's
well,
right
we're
here.
Dumb. We're
Here's
dumb.
the video.
People in New York and New Jersey continue to vote for stupid
There it is.
every year. Man.
There's the video, New Jersey police. Genius.
We're not videotaping you, but we
There
have
it
the
is.
videotape of
Right,
us
right.
videotaping you.
What's the big deal? No recordings or pictures were taken, except for this one right here.
Except for this one, yeah.
What a joke.
What a joke. All right. On behalf of Mike Lomas, Glenn Wiggle, we're the Financial Guys. All of our social media stuff, find it at thefinancialguys.com. Like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter, and our YouTube video. Make sure you like us. The conservative message needs to continue to get out there. We had Dr. Erickson on our radio show early this week. One of the doctors out of California who was kicked off of YouTube because he came out with something that didn't fit the mainstream media's panic, everybody's going to die garbage. It was really a detailed plan about how this virus, the real data, has gone through and what the real data is and what real people who are on the front line, like this doctor who's an ER doctor, are starting to see from this virus. So if you get a chance, make sure you go back and check that out. That interview is also posted on YouTube. It's on our website. So make sure you do our best. If you watch 30 minutes of anything, I would encourage you to watch that. All right. On behalf of Mike Lomas, Glenn Wiggle, we'll catch you next week here on the Financial Guys Podcast.